So for your notes, I'm going to go over those, make sure I get everything.
Oh
We want to
yeah,
work on.
sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to mention like I know I wrote a lot of stuff down.
Mhm.
I find that like when I'm looking for some specific guidance, like not that it's better, but it's better when I just leave it open and just ask like what guidance is most like what is most useful for me to know right now. So like I would also like to just leave it open, but like have those things like in the back because I'm sure it's all connected in some way. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And honestly, I was speaking to your higher self about that, how you actually want to leave it open, but just kind of give some parameters of like, these are the directions that I'm heading in. So I channeled a more open message for you, which we're about to get into. So your higher self took all that into account for you.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Yes, I am going to read them though, because it is important for you to hear them back because it's
Mhm.
going to unfold into the message.
Okay.
Okay, so telekinesis, which moving trapped energy, which I think is so interesting that you quantify that as telekinesis because it is, but I have never thought about it in that terminology. And I was like, wow, that's very expansive.
Well, I meant for them to be separate. Was there a comma there?
I don't think so. I said telekinesis in regards to moving trapped energy.
Well, I meant to put a comma there. I meant to put a
Okay.
comma there because I meant like seeing trapped energy, like stagnant energy in the body and being
Mhm.
able to move it around, like just with my mind. But I guess they are related.
It is. It is telekinesis of moving energy. I was like, wow, that's very brilliant. So I think you probably unconsciously put that. But I
Mhm.
was like, wow, okay. Developing our clair psychic abilities, astral traveling with your kitties. I thought that was so cute, like going into the ethers with them and being able to communicate. Non-conditional manifestation. So that has to do with our self-concept of not weighing if we're doing things correctly in order to receive. Processing emotions, procrastination, kind of feeling a little bit uncorded from reality. You use some different language from that, but that's what I was feeling is in your field of sometimes we're more up here than integrated in the 3D just because there's a lot going on here on this planetary system.
Mhm.
Starting a plant and coaching business and marketing with that, and then being an observer and practicing non-judgment. Does that
Mhm.
sound correct?
Yes.
Okay. So your higher self wanted me to mention that working on your central nervous system is going to be the most important thing for you in this next chapter because we're experiencing a lot of those things that need support because we don't feel super safe in our body.
That is so interesting because I've been doing sessions. Are you familiar with like the emotion code, the body
Hmm.
code, belief
Yep.
code? I've been doing sessions with somebody, and so my parasympathetic nervous system is
Hmm.
regulated, my sympathetic is regulated, and my enteric nervous system is regulated. So they're all three happy. But I'll have, is that a part of the central nervous system, or is the central nervous system something separate?
They're all kind of connected in with one another. Like there's the parasympathetic and there's the sympathetic nervous system, and like they're attached to the like a whole system.
Yeah.
What your higher self, okay. So there's different flavors of the central nervous system.
Oh.
so so what she wants you to focus on is learning about attachment styles. Have you done any research in that area?
That's been popping up on my For You page like crazy.
Okay, so your attachment styles, there's secure, that's the one that we're trying to get to, everybody's trying to get to. And then there's anxious, avoidant, and
Hmm.
fearful. Now, when people think of attachment styles, they most often think of like romantic relationships, but honestly, it has to do with any type of relationship. That can be your career, your finances, your business, your kids, your
Hmm.
coworkers, literally anything, your pets. And so when you have a deeper awareness of what those are and how they function, it's so much easier to catch when you are experiencing fear and anxiety and become the observer and say, oh, this is this attachment style. Then you're out of the loop. and now we can better manage it. And that's information you're going to need as a coach for other people because almost everyone walking around on the planet is dysregulated.
Mhm.
And in order to create massive movement in your reality on the 3D or 5D, you got to have a regulated central nervous system.
Yeah.
So you learning about it will help you, but it'll also help you clock in others what kind of attachment styles they're running with their money, their job, their
Yeah.
career, all these different things. It'll just make it easier for you to read yourself and other people. So I'm going to send you a set of videos that I have found beneficial. If you don't like them, you don't have to watch them, but it's just a jump off point for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you. Please
Yes.
do.
And I find people who talk from a spiritual lens, that helps me integrate it so much more than just hearing scientific videos.
Mhm.
Like I need a bridge. And so I'm gonna send you those people. She also wants you to do some research about the central nervous system reactions, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn for the exact same reasons. If you can notice which one you're in, it's easier to move out of it. And that goes for reading other people as well.
Okay.
And I'm gonna send you some videos.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then I'm also going to send you a video from a man named Alberto, and he's a shaman and a psychologist. And he
Mhm.
talks about how to heal your four energy bodies: spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional, and how they all need different tools and techniques, and how it correlates to your central nervous system. And so everything's going to work together if you watch all of these videos.
That sounds great.
Perfect. Okay. So, one of the reasons that you might feel a little disorganized with your psychic abilities or what you're able to do right now is because when you are in survival mode from having a dysregulated nervous system,
Mhm.
it cuts off your channeling abilities because we get real in the 3D plane and we're trying to just manage our circumstances in
Right.
the human. Our imagination goes out the window. The ethers go out the window. That stuff's not important. The most important thing is like what's happening right here in this second. So
Right.
the more that we feel relaxed and taken care of and supported, the easier it is to start seeing reality through different perspectives, like in the Akashic records.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a feeling that I had more like work to do regarding the nervous system
Mm-hmm.
because like as I've been working with somebody and I've cleared a lot of these like limiting beliefs that have been stored in my body and cleared those trapped emotions. Like my jaw is not really clenched anymore. My stomach
Mm-hmm.
is much like relaxed. My shoulders aren't like, but so I thought a lot of things would start falling into place after this, but it's like there's still and a part of me is like, "Well, damn." Like,
I
damn.
know.
Like
I know.
I thought it was just that easy.
Sure.
But no, and that's okay.
Central nervous system can be a big one to tackle. Where I don't like to call it hard or challenging, but you got to think about all of the dysregulation that we as humans have experienced from birth, from
Mhm.
multitudes of places and spaces.
Right.
Like one string at a time. I still continue to work on my central nervous system every single day because you can always improve upon it. And the more you improve upon it, that's when I started to see my psychic and channeling abilities really accelerate. But not
Mhm.
just those, like every area of my life. When you feel safe within, everything around you doesn't trigger you like it used to. And then you can step outside of that narrative and that story of like, it's so arduous to go through the 3D experience as a human. Okay. So, one of
Mhm.
the things that I just signed you up for before we got on here was my inner child empowerment class. And I talk about how to heal your central nervous system from child perspectives in really fun, imaginative ways and how to process emotions with them so it doesn't feel super heavy. Real chill. So if you want to watch that, you can watch that. Okay. So we're going to talk about what came up in your fields before
Okay.
we get into some more specific questions, like with your business and things of that nature. So when I went to your energy field, I saw you pushing a really big cart up a hill. So have you ever seen in like cartoons or anime where somebody has like they're like a traveling salesman and they have like all of these different items and goods on this big cart and they're like pushing it
Mhm.
around? Okay, so that was you pushing it up a big hill, and you said it feels like a struggle when you're trying to create forward movements because you're carrying so many items on the cart. And what your higher self meant by that was all of the notes that you left me, so many different things that we're trying to improve upon.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So I said, well, why are we carrying so many items? And you said, because I know all of these things are connected with one another. I said, great, you have a high level of brain connectivity. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I said, but sometimes that can lead to decision paralysis or overstimulation.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yes. And so your higher self said we really need to be improving one skill at a time per day
Mhm.
instead of trying to do all of them every day and then just kind of getting lost in the sauce of ideas and downloads and insights, because you know eventually you are going to have to learn every single one of these to become the practitioner that you want to. But the way that we're doing right now is overstimulating our brain. So higher self is suggesting, hey, why don't we make a list of all of the things that we want to create movement with, just like the list you sent me. Okay. And every day, just ask yourself, which one of these am I going to work on? And just move through the list and keep on going back through the list. And there might be times you take things off and there might be things that you add in. But if you want to see even greater movement, can we pull it back to one intention a day? Because there's an undercurrent fear of, well, if I don't do it all right now, it's going to take me forever. When your higher self is saying, actually, because all of the things intersect with one another, it will
Mhm.
naturally accelerate if you just focus on one thing a day.
Yeah.
Because you're going to hear overlaps in all of these different resources and it's going to start clicking in really quickly, but we've got to hone it. So I had somebody reach out to me the other day and said, how did you learn how to do shamanic journeys? And I sent her a voice note that was 10 minutes long of everything that I have done. And I was like, oh, dang, I forgot I did all those things. But I didn't do them all at one time.
Mhm.
I said, what's going to help me create forward movement today? And just pick one area.
That's good.
Yeah, because if you don't do that, you're not giving yourself time to integrate the information and to
Mhm.
embody it, and then it's just going in one ear and out the other. And now we are acquiring knowledge, but we're not acquiring wisdom. Wisdom is embodied and integrated and practiced, but you have to give yourself room to breathe with what you just learned.
Right.
Higher self said, we're going to see so much more forward movement if we just make a list and pick one skill a day to work on.
Well, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. I've never I've never got like anything really good like done by trying to focus on all these different things at one time. I've only like only made forward movement by focusing on one thing at a time.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's one thing at a time per day, but you don't have to focus on the same thing every day because
Right.
I don't know if you have been told you're neurodivergent. I would assume that you are. Okay. So we get bored very easily and it's
Mhm.
very difficult to keep our dopamine levels up, the motivation. So don't try and do like, oh, I'm going to study the central nervous system for the next 3 months. No, I'm just going to do it today.
Right.
And then I'll move on to the next thing tomorrow. And all
Mhm.
of those things are going to build on each other. You're going to make all these different neural connections. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's a way to make a much bigger impact in your life.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Perfect. Okay. Just make a list. Okay. Even if there's 100 things on the list. Okay.
Right.
There's still things that I work on to this day that I have been working on from years ago, but I'm just getting better at it.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay. So for the for the clairs, for the clair abilities, I also signed you up for my psychic development workshop. So you're going to have that in my email, and that is going to help you with symbol interpretation, which is going to help you with all of your clairs. But we can talk about it more in depth after we get done with the messages. Okay, so you'll have that in your inbox. All right, so this is where we're about to do some inner child healing.
Okay.
Okay, because it's one thing to work on your central nervous system from your conscious mind, and it's another to find out why it was dysregulated in the first place.
Mhm.
Right. So when I went into another section of your energy field, a bat came forward and like a, bat. And bats are representative of echolocation, right? That's what they use to navigate around in like caves in the world. And the bat said, hearing the unseen. What does that mean to you when you hear that? Hearing the unseen.
Hearing hearing shit either that's not mine or that is from not the 3D. I'm not really sure.
There's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever comes up.
Hearing the unseen.
Why do you think when I asked that you said hearing things that aren't mine? Do you think that's something that's currently affecting you or something that you just moved out of affecting you? Why is that what we went to?
Well, I don't shield myself every day.
Mhm.
And so I feel like I definitely tend to pick up things that aren't mine, especially because
Mhm.
I live in close proximity with my parents. Um, they have a lot of shit. Most people do, but
Mhm.
so I'm sure there's some stuff there. Yeah.
Okay, so we feel like we need some support with energetic boundaries.
Hmm.
Okay. Where do you think that you need the most support with that?
Where?
Like what is the most common occurrence that is happening right now?
Oh, I can sense that my mom is like irritated or whatever. Like some stuff has to do with me. A lot
Mhm.
of stuff has to do with me, actually. She doesn't like a lot of the things that I do. But I can pick up on that before she ever is even in the same proximity as like kind of I am. And she'll
Mhm.
pop stuff up. She won't talk about it. She'll just talk to my dad about it. And then
Mhm.
eventually my dad will talk to me, but I've already known that, if that makes any sense.
It does. Okay, so let's talk about that before we get a little bit further in here, because obviously it's a big thing in your auric field, and that can create a lot of dysregulation of always being on guard, right? Bracing for impact or feeling like a disappointment or, all these things that can be a lot.
Hmm.
So the first thing I would suggest is having some conversations with your inner children because they are the ones that are getting triggered from that relationship dynamic. They're shrinking back and feeling like victimized from the energy that your mom's emitting. So this is
Hmm.
where you have to come in as the higher self and say, "Hey girlies, I
Hmm.
understand why you were scared and why you were upset, and that is totally okay. It is okay to feel however you feel. It's okay to think however you think. You might need to have some internal sessions with them to say the things that they want to say about your mom to you." And tell them that you love them unconditionally, and you can say whatever you want up here because there's a lot of unprocessed emotions, and
Hmm.
sometimes they just need a place to vent. And then have a conversation with them of when I am talking to mom, I want you to know that I need to be the one that is present, not you, because they are moving to the front of your consciousness to keep you safe and in a small version of yourself. This is where we need to have a pre-talk before we go talk to mom and say, "Hey girls, I got this."
Okay.
And remember, you are now the adult and the higher self.
Mm-hmm.
It takes practice, but if you can realize this is not my trauma, this is their trauma, now we can observe it instead of being in it.
Mm. Mm, that's good. That's good stuff right
Just
there.
a little pre-talk beforehand. And afterwards as well, a debrief and saying, notice how we felt so much more safe with me being at the forefront of our consciousness. I don't
Mhm.
need you to protect me. We're good. I am picking our life path because I know it is right for us. I am confident that I will get us there.
Mhm.
Okay, but we can't be letting other people's energy influence us out of it. Just little pre and post talks like that can make a huge difference.
Wow.
Okay, the second thing, your mom is a projection of your reality. Like she's real, she's your mom, okay? She's here to help you learn a lesson, to hold boundaries and to be your
Mhm.
own sovereign being, right? So oftentimes this is a little bit more difficult with family members because you have so many memories and emotions and trauma with them. What we need to do is build a new story and a narrative of how your mom is seeing and interacting with you.
Mhm.
The only way that she is gonna change is how you are viewing that you are interacting.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning.
I did not have a great relationship with my son's father, and once this idea clicked in my mind of, "Oh, I can build him as a new character, but I'm
Mhm.
only gonna experience if I hold that in my own mind," and
Right.
now we have an absolutely amazing relationship. Was it instant? No, it took practice and time. But the more I envisioned this is what I want our relationship to look like, the more it matched that. But I had to be okay with saying, whatever has happened up until today, we've got to let that go.
Yeah.
And that's hard, especially when they're continuing to trigger you.
Yeah.
Right, but you have to tell those inner children, like, "Hey, if we want a new relationship with mom, we have to build that in our mind, in our reality, and see it in our imagined reality. We want
Mm.
her to be supportive of us. We want her to be happy that she sees us. We want her to be a good communicator," like, all like, really making a list, like you would be writing a story and actually writing a character, and inviting those frequencies and emotions and actions to come from her.
Mhm.
Seeing her in that light, seeing her in that perspective and that lens.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
That's with anybody in life.
Mhm.
I had a different client that did that with her ex, and in 2 weeks, completely different relationship, complete turnaround. Okay?
Wow.
But you have to help your inner children feel safe within of, I know that this is asking us to step outside of our comfort zone and step into a new reality we haven't seen before. I have got us. And just continuing to regulate our nervous system.
Yeah.
Okay. So any questions about that before we move on here?
No, that was very thorough.
Cool. Okay. So when I heard hearing the unseen, I asked you, what are we searching for? Because that's what echolocation is doing, looking usually bugs, but we're looking for something different. Okay. So you said a path ahead. So a clear path ahead, basically what you book in this session for, of like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, oh, like this. And I turned a flashlight on, you know how you like hit it sometimes to make it work. And I
Yeah.
was illuminating this path in front of us out of the cave. And you said, I don't know where that is going.
Mhm.
I said, well, we have two different options. We can stay here or we can see where it takes us.
Mhm.
Okay. That's where we go back to the decision paralysis of feeling overstimulated, of like, I'm not exactly sure where to go and where it's going to take me. So I'm just kind of waiting. This is
Mhm.
where higher self is like, girl, pick a skill and work on it today and then do it the next day and the next day and the next day, and it'll get you to where you need to go. Okay. So when you decided to go down the path, you froze in time. And this is when your 3-year-old self came forward. She is the one that has been preventing us a little bit from intuitively, naturally doing that of just picking a skill every day. And so I looked at her, I said, "Hey, do you want to go somewhere fun? Because we're in a dark cave. That's not fun. Do you want to go somewhere fun?" And she shook her head. I was like, "Okay, well, why don't we want to go somewhere fun?" And I said, "Why are you experiencing so much fear with change?" Because even though we know change can be really beneficial, that doesn't mean that we're going to make it.
Mhm.
So I handed her a looking glass, kind of like Alice in the Looking Glass, a telescope that she could see through. And when she looked through it, we saw into a different kind of like dimension or a different space, and it was giving storybook land. Like imagine all the nursery rhymes in the world, and like all, Jack and Jill and the Beanstalk, and like all these different things, Mother Goose. And I said, "Do you want to go with me now that you can see where we're going?" And she said, "What if I don't make it?" I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "What if I get lost along the way?" And then I saw her envisioning where her and I were walking towards the storybook land, and she got separated from me and was kind of just like out there in the ethers.
Mhm.
So, what comes up before we go deeper into it?
It makes sense why my nieces act the way that they do. But for me, I'm like, damn, girl. Damn,
Okay.
girl. Like I just want to give you a hug. Like
Yeah.
I don't remember. Uh I know my body does, but consciously I don't. Uh yeah.
And sometimes we don't have to go dig for the answers. Like I could have done that with her of going through all your memories from childhood and figuring all that out. But sometimes that just dysregulates us even more and is unnecessary. Sometimes that's good and then sometimes it's not, right? If you have a 3-year-old that's scared, girl, I'm not trying to take you through all that trauma. Okay. So, what I assumed happened was you experienced instability in childhood, whether that has to do with physical, like where you lived, if you moved around a lot, if your parents were emotionally unstable,
That was
if
it.
something, yeah, something going on with finances, or, having a lack of something that you need. And so, that inner child is craving stability, and sometimes it's the stability of staying in the reality that you're currently in.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I
Yes.
see that. I see that. I see that so clearly. See that so clearly because it's like I've been like doing all these different things to like elevate my consciousness and frequency and but then I keep attracting the same type of situations,
Mhm.
same type of people. And I didn't understand that. But it's like the fear of different, of
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, that's why people, especially like empaths, attract a lot of narcissists, because parents were like narcissists or gaslighters or manipulators and things of that nature. Well, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. You're like, I know how to navigate people who are like that, but I don't know how to navigate somebody who offers me unconditional love. Like that sounds really great, but it's so shocking and jarring to your system. It feels traumatic. Like when I first started experiencing peace in my life, that was very difficult for me to embrace because I hadn't experienced that in most of
Mhm,
my life. So that's where she's kind of coming from of, girl, you asking me to go to all these different places and spaces in life and getting into the magical and mystical woo woo realms, and my parents don't already like that,
mhm,
and they're my safety security foundation. Like it's asking a lot of change. And
Yeah.
that's fine. We gotta change, okay? But we need to do is help her and all of your inner children understand that I am trying to get you out of a reality where you never felt safe in the first place.
Mhm.
We could never fully be ourselves. Like, it's gonna be so amazing on the other side. You have
Mhm.
got to trust me as the higher self.
Yeah.
So this is where we need to start clocking when we get stressed and anxious. Is this me or is this my inner children? Okay, now that I know it's them, how can I help them feel more safe? And sometimes that's just words of encouragement. Sometimes it's you going in meditation and talking to them. Sometimes it's you doing fun activities with them. It's just trust building. And the inner child empowerment class is going to give you a lot of exercises that you can do to start that with them.
Okay.
Okay. So, after I talked to her about getting worried about being separated, I said, I'm going to give you this compass that will always point you in the direction that you want to go. Kids do really well with tangible symbolism because a compass is something she can just carry in her pocket at all times.
Mhm.
And I said, girl, it don't matter what direction you go in, it will reroute you. Okay. And I said, but okay. So imagine that we are going to a whole new world. Okay. The storybook world, just like the world that we live in. It's that big. Okay. I said, depending upon what beliefs that you hold and what steps you take and what skills you work on, you could land in different spots in the storybook. It's not all just one destination in that whole entire world. It's whatever you're in the most alignment with. Okay. You could go meet Cinderella or you could go meet Mickey Mouse. Okay. And I said, but does it matter if you still get to where you're going? The final destination is being in storybook land. And then you have the freedom to move around in there. Okay. And I said, would you be okay with as long as you end up there? And she said, yes. I said, all right, let's go. An underlying fear of yours right now is I'm going to pick the wrong skill.
Mhm.
And your higher self is like, girl, we're here to there regardless. It don't matter what you do. I was given a session yesterday where somebody was really concerned about not fully solidifying in the 5D. And she just feels like she keeps on going in like the 5D and back into the 3D. And she's like, when am I ever going to? And her message was, you're already there. If you weren't already there, you wouldn't have an awareness of it.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're just experiencing different spectrums of different frequencies, but you're already locked in. When I was doing the meditation with you before we started, your 3-year-old came to talk to me and she was like, I'm so happy that I'm in storybook land. I said, girl, you were here all the time. I said the illusion of the fear of change was making you think that you were in the cave. Okay. Like, you've always been magical. You will always be magical. You are just remembering and coming home to that frequency within yourself. So literally, it doesn't matter what skill that you pick, it's the intention of what you're trying to do with it or where you're trying to get back to.
Mhm.
So you could become a Reiki master. Okay, you're gonna be great at it. You could become an Akashic record reader. Okay, you're gonna be great at it. It's all moving you home. That's it. Your higher self said you got to take the fear and self-judgment of making the wrong decision off the plate. But that's coming from childhood. I've never made like trying not to make any wrong moves because of the emotional instability. Well, you can't be that way towards your inner children
Yeah.
because it's a regurgitation of what your parents did to you.
Yeah. Like, just gotta let them go play. Just
Exactly. Like go play and go explore and go have fun.
Mhm.
You got to tell them, hey girlies, we have an extremely high level of brain connectivity. That's why we know all of these things are correlated. And so we're just going to take it one day at a time. and we're going to be the most excellent at what we do. We already are the most excellent because we can see why all those things are correlated. We already have a plan, we already have a map. We're just navigating through time. Okay. There's a quote by Albert Einstein. He said, "Time is here so we don't experience everything at once." Because that's what's happened to you right now. You're overstimulated because you're trying to do everything at once. Right?
Yeah.
So we just need to move through time at a pace that doesn't dysregulate us. So you are holding kind of like this belief in your org field of I have to have a certain level of skill set before I'm successful or
Mm-hmm.
before I'm magical enough, right? And girl, I have been there a million times myself with that. It's the self-worth thing. So at all times, we have to tell our inner children, you are amazing for exactly who you are in this moment right now. You have everything that you need. You already have all these things within you. Otherwise, you wouldn't see them. You wouldn't be interested in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you working backwards of how did I get here? It's just a re-remembrance. It's not even learning new skills. It's you re-remembering you know how to do them already.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. And then one thing that I feel like has been a common like theme since like my spiritual awakening is trying to learn all the information, like looking outside of myself and trying to
Mhm.
like learn like in books and TikTok, and there's nothing wrong with those things, but it's just like I'd rather go inwards and like learn all of that information from which technically it is all myself.
It is all those YouTube videos and resource like it's all you. It's all you. Sometimes your physical brain, the one that is here in the human, needs a jump start. It's not like you're remembering everything from scratch. It's just bringing it up from your records and your subconscious.
Mhm.
But when you switch the identity of I am learning to I am re-remembering, things can come in so much faster because now you're accessing different incarnations of yourself
Mhm.
with lots of different perspectives and experiences. When I first started learning Reiki, I was like, I don't understand this at all. This is not making sense. And I said, if it's meant for me, it'll come back around. What I didn't realize in between that time was I was going to get into past lives and have the realization, oh, I probably have a Reiki master in my records that I could
Mm,
contact and she can just download all of that template in and I will understand it in the way that I am meant to understand it. But I needed to go ahead and kickstart it with like, let me research about Reiki and what that looks like.
yeah.
But I had to be okay with giving it breath to develop and taking a step back to learn other things. That's what your higher self is saying. You learn that way of I'm going to learn this bit over here and 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 they're all going to work in the bigger puzzle together. And when you were saying that you would rather go within yourself to figure things out, I'm very similar of I do things very differently than normalized procedures with certain modalities. Like
Mm,
I just want to create kind of my own things, but I do need some kind of like framework or guide to kind of just jumpstart.
mhm,
But then I do need to go in and say, how can I make this my own? But what you're doing right now is not giving yourself time to do that. You're
mhm.
like, on to the next and on to the next. It's like
Yeah,
45 things in a day. Okay.
yeah. Then I just end up like I think that's why one of the reasons why my nights are so just blah. Like I just uh speaking of that
Mhm.
at the time. Okay. Uh So I've had narcolepsy, which I don't see it as that, but since like 12 maybe. Well,
Okay.
way before that actually. And it's just a pest. It's so
I
like
can imagine.
I'm sick of it. And I like got off of most of my medication using
Mhm.
food as medicine, which is really one thing that I want to coach people in because I've experienced it. But
Mhm.
I still have these like and also cataplexy, which is like loss of muscle function with a strong emotion. And my strong
It's
emotion,
like kind of like paralysis momentarily, right?
yes, like my neck droops, my knees buckle,
Got it.
my body like just like when I laugh, I can't. I really like that. I know there's a lot of things that I'm and I if I have to continue to deal with this until I guess not really until it's all just a part of the process and it all happens the way that it should. But if there's any information, anything that you have regarding like, am I looking for a why? Am I looking for a why? No, I think I know the why. Maybe I'll circle back around to that.
Well, I think what you're really asking, you tell me if I'm wrong or not, but really asking of, am I gonna have to experience this forever? Like, is there an energetic root underneath which I can shift? Am I meant to teach other people how to heal this, like a quantum healer? Like, what is the greater purpose as to what is happening? Because I think you have an inclination of, I can heal this, but I just don't know how to do that, or even if that's what I should be focusing on right now. Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I haven't had a ton of experience with those two things, but intuitively, what I'm picking up on is okay, we're shutting down.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we have some type of chemical makeup in our system that's doing that as a safety mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we look through a 3D medical lens, it's like, okay, well, it's just how your body is. Okay. So we need to look through an energetic lens of my body is shutting down on me for a reason. It's
Right.
probably from being overstimulated. Like even when we have really happy emotions, like laughing, it's too much for our central nervous system to handle. That's probably why your higher self is like, girl, we have got to make that the top priority moving forward. Okay.
I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because there's a reason that your body is not feeling safe when there is intense overstimulation happening, whether that's people who are being confrontational or heightened emotions all of a sudden, or variables and shifts very quickly. And that probably goes back to what your inner child fears are of, girl, I don't want to have more change. I'm going to experience more narcolepsy and more like your body shutting down on you.
Mm,
So this is where we can have a conversation with her and say, hey, I know that these are diagnoses, but diagnoses don't always mean that something is permanent.
right.
I am a quantum healer and I can find the energetic root.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing by learning all these skills. So we don't have to experience that. So what I think probably happened, and I don't know what your experience are with your parents or people around you, that's your body's safety mechanism.
I see that. Mm-hmm.
So central nervous system and excuse me, learning how to process our emotions are going to be key to heal those two things. And that's going to help you with everything, just everything that we have talked about, but really honing in on those two things in particular.
Mm. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And emotions can be really triggering because it makes you have a very intense physical reaction, especially when you're looking at really traumatic things within yourself. And sometimes that's why our inner children don't want to look at them.
Uh,
It's kind of just a loop we get in. Okay. So watch that inner child empowerment video because I explain how to do it in a way that doesn't overstimulate them. You gotta take it easy with them. When I first started doing emotional work, I could only do like 5 or 10 minutes at a time because it was just so jarring to my system,
Mm.
and it would dysregulate me so much.
Mhm.
And so I had to kind of make a compromise with myself and say, I am not going to force you to do work that you are not ready for. What I'm going to do is learn some new knowledge of how the central nervous system works and what attachment styles are and central nervous system, reactions. So that way we're still learning about it, but we're not quite experiencing it and embodying it in our body yet. Because
Mm.
I don't want to throw you into that without the tools and techniques to get you out of it.
Right.
Because that's not fun for anybody. Because now you're
Mhm.
just sitting here a puddle on the floor, like now what do I do?
Yeah.
So that's why your higher self is saying it's an importance to focus on those things in the next chapters. And you can still do the other things like talk about astral travel, clear development, the telekinesis, all these different things. But we need to make the central nervous system and emotions a prominent part of our daily ritual of learning new skills.
Okay.
Okay. So what questions do you have? Like more specific questions.
Hmm. I'm blanking. I don't
It's
know.
okay. 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 I can ask your higher self too if you don't have any more specific, but I just want to make sure I ask.
Yeah, you go ahead and ask her. You could do that.
Okay. Have you done any type of etheric and astral travel on your own as of yet? Like you going out like into the cosmos in your mind, not like traveling out of your body, but just going out to try and go into the records or go to a different planet or go to a different city or just imagine yourself like outside of the reality that you're currently in.
I feel so disconnected from all of that.
Yes. Okay. So when I first started working on channeling and psychic work, me too. It was very difficult because I didn't feel safe in like how am I going to travel out into the ethers if I already don't feel safe in my body? Like okay. I
Yeah.
was so worried about getting lost or like evil spirits getting me, just like there's just like all the stuff. Okay. So being in the ethers and astrals is being in your light body. Okay. So you are kind of outside of yourself. You're still in your physical body, but you're
Yeah.
detaching your consciousness a little bit to go out there. Okay. So let's scale it back a little bit. Okay. We're going to start with our imagination because your imagination is in your brain and your brain is in your body. So we're going
Mhm.
to tell our inner children we're not going anywhere when we're in our imagination. We are still in self. What I started doing was guided meditations for little kids. Going to unicorn land, going to dragon land, going to a pirate ship in the sky because you are teaching them, hey, we're going on this journey together, but we're not leaving our body. And I want to show you how that first step is safe and fun. Because if you
Mm.
just going all willy nilly out to the cosmos, you can come in contact with anything. That's what they're scared about.
Yeah.
They're not scared to go meet a cool dragon or a
Yeah.
unicorn or a fairy or, like a fun pirate ship. Like they already understand that. You know how your inner child picked storybooks, like
Yeah.
storybook world, because they have memories with those things. It's very 3D. It's attached
Oh,
to the earth.
that makes a lot of sense.
I was able to really accelerate my psychic and channeling abilities once I started working with my inner children in their imagination first. Like, hey,
Mm.
let's just notice how we're safe in our own mind.
Yeah.
So then when I did go out into the ethers, they were like, yeah, we're good. We feel safe. We trust you. I see that we are always linked with one another. And that's a good way to connect with your inner children.
Wow.
We need to build their imagination skills. Like, those skills that you're learning, imagination is also a skill
Yeah.
because we've been removed so far from it from schooling and you know, capitalism, all these things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's something you got to re-spark within yourself, and a great way to do that is to connect with your inner children because they're the source of it in the first place.
Wow.
So I'm gonna send you this YouTube channel. I'm gonna make a note. It's called New Horizons. She has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of meditations, if not thousands. And she's a British lady and she has very much like grandmother energy. And she's so sweet. She has fantastic meditations. And I would just do them every once in a while with my inner children. I would say, hey, let's go on an adventure and a journey with one another. We're in our mind, we're in our imagination, we're not out of our body, we are safe, and we're just going to go have some fun with one another. Now, if you do that, the relationship with your mom will improve because now they feel safe enough for you to be at the forefront of your consciousness and deal with situations.
Mm,
This is
mm.
where this is where you really step up into a new role for them and start seeing wild differences in your reality of like, no girls, I don't need y'all to do that. I've got it, so we're cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what we talked about as well of if you know what attachment styles are and you know what central nervous system reactions are, then you can clock that's what's happening instead of just experiencing it. Okay, now that I see it and I observe it, I can make a different choice.
Wow, that's good.
And the way that your brain works, this is your higher self not saying that you need to become an expert in all of these things. Like once you watch these videos, you'll forever have it. It's just you remembering and noticing, oh, these are the behavioral patterns that are happening with me and other people.
Mhm.
It'll lock in right after watching all those videos or your own videos.
What do you mean my own videos?
Like if you want to go out and do your own research,
Oh,
like
yeah.
like I send people things, but maybe that person's not your cup of tea. You can go
Right.
find like a different video, one that resonates. I think you'll like these people, but you'll start to see yourself in reality in a completely different lens from like that observant place that you're trying to get to. And then when you said working on non-judgment, well, it's easy to not judge people when you understand what's going on with them.
Mhm.
Oh, this is why you are the way that you are. Okay, this is why you're acting this way. It doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with unhealed things within you. And I need to still hold boundaries and not let you walk all over me or talk to me any type of way. But I can be a little bit more compassionate and come into the conversation in a different way because I know you're not doing it on purpose.
Mhm.
You have hurt inner children inside that don't have tools and techniques that they need. That alleviates a lot of suffering in navigating the 3D.
Wow.
And when you recognize all of these things within yourself and then you start to heal them, then you start to magnetize people that also know those things of self
Mhm.
and are also more healed. So it shifts the relationship dynamics that you have around you as well. And these are all things that you are going to be teaching to other people in your own coaching practice.
Yeah.
So like you said before, I got to go through it to learn how to deal with it and how to heal it and then how to teach it to others. Like there's a reason that you're drawn towards these things is because you're going to teach them to others.
Yeah, I feel that. One question that came up was social media. I go back and forth with like, should I share this? Should I not? Does it really matter? I'm
Okay.
just myself. Like,
Sure.
can you, I'm so intrigued. And you communicate with my higher self. Like but does my higher self have anything to say about like what I should or shouldn't, or does it really matter what I'm posting? Because I'm just posting like my journey of like everything that I'm kind of, not everything, but a lot of the things that I'm experiencing, because I know a lot of people are experiencing similar things.
So this is a shift that I made, and this might resonate with you and not, okay? But this is a shift that I made a little bit deeper into my content creation journey because in the beginning, I was making content to help other people. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to change this and make it a video diary, kind of like you're doing, of my experience so that I am healing myself through this. And then I'm taking other people on the journey with me, people who resonate.
Mm,
Because now, instead of being focused on other, especially because you're working on boundaries and expectations and, all these things, I'm going to post what is going to help me create forward movement for myself. And I'm going to envision that I am talking to a younger me in the camera. Girl, this is me 6 months ago. This is me a year ago. You don't have to go super far back, right? Because if you go super wild far back, now we're kind of building an audience around us that's like too far away in consciousness, if that makes sense. And you're not going to be super interested in staying in those old paradigms. And if you keep talking about old paradigms, then it'll pull you back into them.
right.
So, where can I talk to myself 6 months ago or a year ago and give her advice? Let me tell her where I'm at, what I'm working through.
Mhm.
And we can create, like, I create videos for other people, but I know those people are me.
Yeah.
There is nobody else. It's just me and the camera.
Mhm.
Right. So oftentimes, in order to discover self, we need to look through the lens of another. Like, if I'm trying to heal something, it's very difficult for me to do that myself. That's why I go to energy healers, right? That's why you're here. So I will find somebody that is experiencing something similar to what I am, and then that's my clients.
Mhm.
Okay, they're like younger versions of me or something I'm going through right now, and I'll figure out their problem that helps me.
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of the same thing with your content. Like you are helping people, but ultimately it's helping you. So it's a video diary of self. So as long as you stay in alignment with what is helping me create forward movement, what am I excited talking about, what am I passionate about, and then the people will find me that are meant to find me. That's the way that I have found is the most natural and the most easy because I'm not taking other people's expectations into account. And it's healing me, it's for me. It is my creative outlet, it is my creative passion. Yes, I made a business out of it, but it's just all me. It's an expression of self. It's kind of like if I was an artist. This is my art.
Mhm.
This is
And
my
so
life's project.
yeah.
Yeah.
So through working on one thing a day and like focusing on one thing a day and like
Mhm.
with the central nervous system, will I be able to like more clearly hear and communicate with my higher self?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fear and anxiety and dysregulation takes up so much space in your energy field and your auric field. So when you work on healing those things, you have much clearer lines of communication.
Okay.
So something that really helped me because when I first started, I couldn't hear my higher self. I was very frustrated. I was like, I just feel like I'm talking to nobody. Okay. So I said, instead of trying to hear my higher self, I'm going to teach myself how to be a higher self to my inner children
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they need healing anyway.
Mhm.
Okay. So once you teach yourself how to be a higher self to them, well, then it's very easy to hear your higher self because you're embodying that identity and frequency. Like you know what a higher self is now.
Yeah. I think
Right.
I saw that video that you posted. I'm like, that makes so much sense. Okay,
Mhm.
okay, sorry, we're over, but I have one more
Oh, it's
question.
fine. Are you okay on time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine.
Girl, I could talk to you for like 2
Okay. Well, I
hours.
didn't know if you had an appointment or anything afterwards. Okay.
Oh, uh, um, ancestors. So,
Hmm.
I'm like, do I want to explain the whole? No, I don't feel like going into all that. But I feel like a specific bloodline on my father's biological father's side, which I don't know who he is because that information has been kept from me. Uh,
Okay.
I've been like giving offerings to them, and I feel like I'm more connected to them in a way, which I've always been. connected to them, but like this is kind of like a foreign practice or whatever to me. But I also understand kind of that like I am my ancestors. So we're all
Mhm.
living out at one time. So it's like how like I don't know if you understand what I'm like.
I do. So even though you are them, they are separate. So like everybody who I have ever come in contact with, they all have their unique perspectives and experiences. That's why it's really important to be a part of a community because you can learn so much about yourself through other people, like through their lenses. Right.
Yes.
So, yes, they are separate and yes, they are, you at the same time. But if you're wanting to learn new things about your life or yourself, it's okay to see them as separate and look through their lenses back at self. Are you asking how to better connect with them?
Yeah.
Or what is the question here?
Yeah, so my dad was raised by a white man. My dad is not white. He is black.
Okay.
His mother is light skinned. So I know that the man who raised him is not could not possibly be his father. And that
Mhm.
like the information has been withheld from me because they some things don't want me to connect with that bloodline. I don't necessarily understand it fully, but I
Mhm.
understand that much. But I really want to connect with that bloodline. But I did a past life regression like a while ago.
Mhm.
And one of my questions was like, how do I find out who that side of the family is so I can connect with them because I feel like there are people living that are my family that I never met before. And my higher self said they have to come to you. You can't go to them. So I guess I'm trying to like find out other ways to go.
So you're trying to circumvent your higher self.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, let's figure out what is the intent, like what are you trying to get out of connecting with them?
A lot of things that I could just do like get if I continue to like regulate my central nervous system.
So you're wanting to meet with the etheric ancestors or the people that are still living on this plane that you might be related to or both?
Yeah, because I also feel like I could be wrong, but they're more connected to like their spiritual gifts and they could offer
Okay.
insight. Uh, but I guess it will all happen as I focus on one thing at a time. Like I feel like that will just be a part of the process, if that makes sense.
It is a part of the process, like, sometimes certain information, like, maybe that's why your higher self was saying to, like, not necessarily that it won't ever happen, but we need to develop our skills a little bit more or consciousness or your emotions. Like if you are having a difficult time with emotions, especially with those physical symptoms, maybe that would dysregulate us and make us even more stressed out and anxious depending on what we find, and that could actually be detrimental. So maybe that's what she's saying of like there's a time and a place. I will say, well, let me ask, who kept the information from you? Your parents?
My dad he says he doesn't remember.
Okay.
And then his mother, so my grandmother.
Okay. So have we ever taken a ancestor test, like a DNA test? Were you able to find any connections that way from like your
Yeah,
blood living relatives?
one person, she was like a second cousin or something,
Okay.
dad's side, but I just kept asking so many questions and she blocked me.
Okay. Okay. So sometimes our higher self can see things that we cannot, right? So there might be some reasonings as to why she doesn't want you to access that information just right now because of whatever that might be. My suggestion, which your higher self is saying, okay, is okay, when people live on this 3D plane, they are in a limited viewscape of consciousness and their own behavioral patterns and triggers and limitations, all these things. It's kind of like when you can see somebody's higher self, but they are not embodying their higher self. They're making choices that are not good.
Mhm.
Okay. But they're a good person in there.
Right.
So maybe it's not time for you to connect with those ancestors through the embodiment that they had here on this earth plane. Maybe it would be more beneficial for you to talk to their higher selves.
Mhm.
So that way you bypass over whatever that triggering information might be. Let's say that one of them did something that was really nasty. Maybe our body is not ready to see or perceive that right now, and it would be a big disappointment, or it would be like, what does this mean about me and my karmic ties, and like all this, it's just like a lot. Right?
Yeah.
So maybe instead we set the intention to speak with the version of them that is beyond just this 3D experience. So we get information that's more rooted in love and compassion and empathy, that's not overshadowed by fear and behavioral patterns and illusions. Because I have an inclination some of that's in there. Like there's a reason that it's being blocked
Yeah.
because your higher self is like, girl, some of that stuff we don't need right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
can. Yeah.
Okay. But we can bypass over and talk to the higher self. So I had a client who her physical dad did some not so great things to other people and her. Okay, but she felt like she needed some closure. So what I ended up doing was taking her into the ethers, and her dad was there, and I said, "Well, we're not going to actually talk to your dad. We're going to talk to higher self." And higher self came through and gave us a whole different experience than she would
Mhm.
have had with her dad. She
Yeah.
got the closure that way instead.
That's
Because
awesome.
her inner children were terrified of meeting with the dad. And I said, "Well, we don't have to do that. We will just bypass right on over that and meet the most loving version of him, the true self, before all that stuff happened on this 3D plane to him to make him be that person."
Yeah.
So just go over and talk to them instead.
So I could give offerings to their hires. Is that a thing? Do you know?
Sure. Yeah, if you want to. You can give offerings to anybody or anything.
Oh,
It
that's
just set the intention to connect with them instead. And that's going to actually be easier for you to connect with them because you're not moving through so much dense energy with whatever is being blocked.
right.
That's what I would do. That's what your higher self is like. Hey, if we really want to dig into it, we need to do that instead right now.
Okay.
Okay. It'll be a
Awesome.
better experience for both of you. So that one day when you do come across that information, you won't be triggered by it, or you won't hold judgment,
Mm.
or you won't make it feel like it's something having to do with you or your family lineages because you already saw the real version of them. And then we understand why people just end up the way that they do sometimes.
Yeah.
I have a feeling whatever you were gonna find, your higher self was concerned that you were gonna make it mean something about you.
Oh,
Whether
probably.
that's you need to heal your ancestral karmic lineages, and she's like, "Nah, girl, they're their own people. You are doing that by you being you right now.
Hmm.
Okay, we don't need to pick up other people's baggage." Okay, so that is what I am intuitively picking up on. Your higher soul's kind of like, okay, yes.
Okay, awesome.
What is your biggest takeaway today?
Well, I already knew that I was exactly where I'm supposed to be. I've always felt like I'm there, but like I'm not quite all the way there
Mhm.
yet. But like I know a lot. Like
Mhm.
but it's the inner child, like just being with her, talking to her, talking her through things, um, in the central nervous system. That's really, I mean, it makes, yeah. My mind is like going like 5,000 different. places in my
It's
mouth
okay.
and like able to like,
That's fine.
speak the way that I'm thinking right now. But yeah, this session was extremely helpful, and I'm so glad that you were able to like, yay, we were able to connect. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I'm just you. I always like to tell people that I'm just future you. Like I'm literally just future you talking to you right now. Like I am a different person, different experiences, different perspectives. But the only reason that you understand what I'm saying and you're integrating that is because I am you.
Hmm.
So if that gives you a more indication of like, you know what, I'm good. Okay. So one thing your higher self wanted me to mention before we close up here is in running a business, if you have never done that before, there
No.
are a billion different skills that you got to learn. Okay. And I know that is very overstimulating, like a lot. Okay. But it is like you got to teach yourself how to market, how to do sales, and how to do taxes, and like all these different things. So this is where we have to add that onto our skill. It's all skills. It's all skills. Now listen, when we're making skills and making things, when I first started making a website, I didn't realize that that was actually 100 steps. And so I was getting so overwhelmed of like, oh my God, I'm never going to finish this. Okay, well, can we break it down into it's not really 100 steps, but the 100 steps, and I'm just going to work on one micro movement at a time instead of looking at it as this huge endeavor. Like, I know I need to do that, but what can I do today to improve that skill? That's it. This is what you need to start. Okay, you ready?
Hmm.
You need a professional Zoom account so you can record sessions. You need a booking site. The easiest one is Calendly
Yeah.
or Acuity. That's the one that I use that you booked with me. That one's, you can put multiple sessions on there, but it's a little bit more intense to set up. I would start with Calendly. Okay. You need a way to take payments to hook up to your Calendly, and you need to make content.
Dude, I'm already do. I already have all that.
That's all you need to start. I didn't have a website in the beginning. For the first year and a half, I had a booking site. I had a way for people to pay me, and I made content and I sent people the link. Like that's literally it. You decide, what do I enjoy talking about the most? What have I healed in my own life? What is fun for me to discuss? That is what I'm going to center my content on, and that's what I'm going to intend to help other people with. And okay, so we cannot learn everything. Okay, because we just don't have time in this incarnation to do everything. Okay. So I am also not somebody that can niche down because
Me
I would get
neither.
super bored. Okay. So I pick a wheelhouse of things to work in. So I like talking about the Akashic records, inner child healing, quantum manifestation, spiritual gifts. I rotate talking about those in my content while I improve on those skills every day. So I'm not talking about everything in existence. I'm talking about the things that are the most fun for me, and I switch topics periodically. So I say, oh, I want to improve my quantum manifestation. Well, I'm going to work on that skill set and teach content at the same time. So everybody's going on the evolution journey with me. And then I'm making a video diary and talking to me 6 months ago and saying, hey, girl. And I'm not saying like to me in the camera, but just envisioning her and saying, this is what I learned. And then I watch my videos back and I get even more clarity. And then we do that for a couple weeks, and now we're on to the Akashic records. And then I do that. Now we're on to inner child healing. And it helps me and my audience grow at the same rate.
Mm.
So that's where our higher self is like, what skills are we trying to improve? Like always ask yourself, not what can I help others with? What do I want to improve for myself? And then take people on the journey.
Wow, that's good.
And then you're just living in alignment with self.
That's so good.
Yeah, because you're naturally a teacher. You're a yapper like me, okay? Like you like to mix it up, like just live in authenticity of self.
Yeah. Hmm. Oh wow, that's good. It's like I got work to do, but I'm great. Like I'm happy to, like this is what I want. This is like one of the reasons I came here. This is what I want.
Well, there's always work to do, no matter what stage you're on. Like there's always something else, right? So this is where we have to scale it back and say, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
I'm going to create a bigger roadmap for my life of where I'm headed. Okay,
Hmm.
all roads lead back to storybook land. Okay, but I'm going to make a map of the skills I want to work on the most, and then I'm just going to work on that every day. Then it'll get to where you get you where you're trying to get to.
So can I, sorry, last
You're
question.
fine,
Can I like start the business and become a coach while I'm doing all these
girl.
things?
Yes, there's always somebody there. There are always people that need support with whatever level you are at. Now, I will say that the more clarity that you get around tools and techniques, it's easier for you as a practitioner and a coach. That's why your higher self is like, let's figure out attachment styles and central nervous system because it's very difficult to help people in a dysregulated state
Hmm.
because they're experiencing so much fear and anxiety and limitations. You, as a practitioner, need to learn how to navigate around that, not only for yourself, but for other people, right? So, as long as we are creating forward movement and what we are trying to help others with, like how can I be a better inner child healer? How can I be better at helping people reprogram their subconscious, right? So, you know how when you first start on your spiritual awakening journey and you're listening to people and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about, but one day I will.
Yes.
Okay, so you had to scale it back and listen to people that were a little bit closer to your consciousness while still having people to reach up to, right? But it wasn't serving you to listen to people talk about things that you have no idea what they're saying. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's an example of where you can start wherever you're at because the people you're going to be helping are not ready for the advanced level expert. They need
Yeah.
you with where you're at right now just to help them make one step forward. What I like to ask myself is, who was I a couple steps back? That's who I'm always helping. Me, me a month ago, me 6 months ago, me a year ago, me 2 years ago. I'm going to help those people because if you run your systems like that, as you progress, your audience also progresses. And then it's very easy to teach from that place because you literally went through it. It's just having a conversation with somebody and be like, girl, this is what I did. Okay. I hear what you're saying. I understand where you're at. These are the tools and techniques.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
can you can start right now. You just gotta figure out what do I want to be helping people with? Like what's the most fun for me? And then make that through your content to attract those people.
Okay.
Like don't figure out what they need. You figure out what you want to talk about.
Okay. Well, I know the things that worked for me, but I'm like, do I really like, is that fun? Is that fun?
Right. Not
Well,
right.
it's like,
Not everything's fun. That's but not okay. So sometimes you have to shift your perspective of did this lead me to more fun in life?
oh yeah.
Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense? Like, hey, you are not going to get to where you want to go if your central nervous system is not grounded. So is that the most fun thing to talk about? Obviously not. But where they are trying to get to and where you're trying to get to, that's a fundamental step. Now, not
Mm-hmm.
everybody talks about that though. Some people don't talk about central nervous system. Some people talk about a million other things. But if that's a passion of yours of I want people to understand this, then it is part of the fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to you of like where am I trying to get people to? Why am I trying to get them there? What's the most interesting thing for me to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to shift the perspective because there's a lot of things that I talk about that are not the most fun thing, but I'm like, you got to know it. Okay, to get to where you're trying to go.
Is meditation like a great way to like regulate the central nervous system?
It depends. There's like a billion different ways that you can do it. Some people really vibe with meditation and some people don't. Especially like neurodivergent people have a very difficult time sitting in the silence because it's just so much. So for neurodivergent people and for myself, because same, I do active meditations. So I go on hot girl manifestation walks where that's
Mhm.
my meditation, or I'm washing the dishes, or I'm cleaning, like I'm keeping my body moving so that I can clear my mind. But meditation for me can be anything that is helping me get in the flow state where
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about a billion things all the time. So, but there's other ways you can regulate your central nervous system. Exercise,
Yeah, yeah. Dancing is a big one for me.
yeah, dancing, learning how to regulate